It's the RFD Mailman with a message for every one of you. And here it is, that exciting show everybody's talking about in city and country alike, RFD America, with your country question editor, Joe Kelly.
Thank you, Ed Cooper, and hello to all of our good friends and neighbors out there. It's nice to have you back with us again tonight, folks, because you're really going to hear a battle royal. The second woman ever to win our Master Farmer of the Week crown is here from Faribault County, Minnesota, to defend her title against three farmers from the wonder state of Arkansas. She's Elizabeth Stevermer, mother of 8. And say, Ed Cooper, I know our listeners are wondering who those Mississippi County, Arkansas contestants are, so let's introduce them. First, Earl Wilde,
who farms 440 acres, has won special recognition in soybean production, and whose hobby is flying. And Earl, we heard you with Jack Parr on Don McNeil's Breakfast Club program this morning. Say, they really have a lot of fun on that program, too, don't they?
Next, Lois Young,
who tenant farms 80 acres, wins prize after prize for her canning of meats and vegetables, and who says that her hobby is trying to keep peace in her family of 4.
And last but not least, Vance Dixon,
who left college 18 years ago completely broke, and who now is the owner of 240 acres of fine farmland. And there you have our contestants.
And now that you folks know our contestants, let's hear them answer some questions in the preliminary round of our feuding and a fighting and a fussing between the states of Minnesota and Arkansas. Our first question is, our first question, frankly, none of you folks sent in a question that seemed just right for a starter offer this week, so here's the second question. But don't you contestants worry about that first question. You won't be scored on it. Yeah. Mrs. Glenn Waters of Wisconsin Rapids, Wisconsin, writes that on her farm there's a hog oiler. I wonder if you can explain to our listeners and to me why a hog needs to be lubricated. Earl.
He needs to be lubricated to keep the lice off of him.
That's right. Good for you, Earl. Yes, sir. Here's our next question. Bob Allen of New York City wonders whether you've been too busy on the farm to keep abreast of romance. He would like for you to give the name of the girl whose marriage recently inspired the newspapers to call her the modern Cinderella. Earl again.
She married Rockefeller.
That's right. What's her name? What was her name before she married Rockefeller?
Oh, I can't think of it.
You can't think? How about the rest of you folks? Vance?
She was a princess, I believe.
No. You think about the wrong girl. You give up?
First name is...
Elizabeth.
Her first name is Gloria.
No, I'm sorry. No. It starts with a B. Both her nickname and her real name. All right, her name was Barbara Sears. Now you all remember. Well, sometimes those things don't come to your mind quick, especially when you're in front of a microphone, huh? Well, we pulled a boner on that one, and that means that Bob Allen of New York City gets a bonus. Instead of a $50 Spiegel merchandise certificate, he gets a $100 certificate. Now then, you'd better watch out for this one from my own Kepler of Douglas, Nebraska. Can you tell in what direction the wind would be blowing if the wheel of a windmill pointed toward the southeast? Earl?
If the wheel pointed toward the southeast?
That's right.
It would be blowing from the northwest. Well, wait a minute. It'd be blowing from the southeast.
It certainly would, so it would be blowing in what direction?
To the northwest.
To the northwest, that's right. Almost caught you, didn't I? Yes, sir. Well, remember I said in what direction and not from what direction. Well, Eugene Edwards of Beeson, Illinois, says he's afraid that many of the things we've had to say about farm life on RFD America will lead city folks to believe that farming is all fun and folly. And Mr. Edwards says that isn't true, because he is a farmer and knows differently. And since we want to be completely impartial on this program, we're going to give you contestants a chance to tell about some of the more unpleasant moments in your day on the farm. Each of you is to think of one thing you really hate doing on the farm. All right, who's going to be first? Lois?
Well, the worst thing I hate on the farm is milking the cows in the winter and milking them in the summer. It's the coldest job in the winter, and it's the hottest in the summer.
Well, I guess you can say that again, Lois. How about you, Vance?
You have to get up early and go to work early and quit late.
Yeah? You don't like that, huh?
No, sir.
You don't, huh? I can't blame you in a way. Elizabeth, how about you?
Well, everyone in our community hates to wash the separator and the milking machine.
Oh, uh-huh. Well, and Earl?
I don't like to haul manure.
You don't, huh? Cattle of Central South Dakota would like to see how many things on the farm you folks can name that are not electric, but can be described in electrical terms. An example could be he uses a switch to drive cattle. Now, that's the idea. Okay, let's hear you do some. Electrical terms. All right, Elizabeth?
Currents.
Currents, putting up currents?
Yes, if I am understanding the question correctly.
That's right. It's, many things on the farm that you can name that are not electric, but can be described in electrical terms. All right, Vance?
The current of a stream.
Well, that's all right, yeah. Well, let's get away from the current, though. Let's get something else. Earl?
What would a man be doing so early in the morning on the farm? What?
What? Oh, now, Earl, cut it out. Wait a minute. When you do that again, hit that word what. Just lay on it. How about, can you think of any others? Rest of you folks. Any more? Elizabeth?
Wire for fencing.
Wire for fencing? Yes, uh-huh. I get it. In
Wire
other
for
words,
electric wire, you
Huh?
see. The electric wire and wire for fencing.
I see. Well, that's good. You couldn't write for the fencing, so you wired for it. I get. Earl,
That bale of cotton was too light.
that
Wasn't heavy enough.
bale of cotton was too light. That's a good one. All right. Now this one's from Joe Spenago of Tonalo, Illinois. Do the following animals have hair, fur, wool, or feathers? Muscovy. Muscovy. Elizabeth.
Ducks, they have feathers.
That's right. They have feathers. They're ducks. And how about Tamworth? Tamworth. Elizabeth again.
Hogs, they have bristles or
Their
hair.
hair. Uh-huh. And Rambouillet. Earl.
Wool. That's a sheep.
That's right. Good for you. Uh-huh. Uh-oh. And so the questions go faster and faster. That horn calls a halt to your work for a while, contestants. And now the judges will get to their work and add up the scores. And that shouldn't take more than 60 seconds.
And, Joe, why don't you take it easy for those 60 seconds, too, and let me tell the folks how they can win some wonderful prizes. You know, in the 13 weeks that RFD America has been on the air, about $8,000 worth of Spiegel merchandise certificates have been awarded to our listeners. And all of those winners, all that they had to do to win those certificates was write down on a penny postcard or in a letter a question they wanted to ask our contestants. You see, if a question is used, a big Spiegel mail order catalog and a $50 certificate is awarded. And if the question is missed by our contestants, that $50 certificate is doubled and a $100 certificate is sent out. Now imagine being able to choose anything you want from that Spiegel catalog. And say, you know, right now would be a mighty good time to get a complete new Easter outfit, wouldn't it? If you take this hint, you'll sit down right after our broadcast and send a question to RFD America, Chicago, Illinois. I'll give you that address once again. It's simply RFD America, Chicago, Illinois.
And here's the report from our judges. They're saying that the winners in the preliminary round were Earl Wilde, Elizabeth Stevermer, and Lois Young. And to you, Vance Dixon, goes the chance to look over that long list of prizes before any of our other contestants have ever seen it and choose the one item there that you like best of all. What number will it be, Vance?
Number 7.
Number 7. Oh, boy, did you pick it. Oh, it's a dandy. And another thing, I'll bet your family will love you for choosing this. It's a 12 cubic foot harder freeze home freezer made by Tyler of Niles, Michigan, and guaranteed to keep all your food fresh and appetizing for months and months.
Thank you very much.
And now going into the semifinal round are these contestants. Elizabeth Stevermer, last week's master farmer from Minnesota. Lois Young, our farm wife from Arkansas. And Earl Wilde, a farmer whose hobby is flying. And now let's find out who our winners are going to be in this round. This question here is from Old Ryback of Port Huron, Michigan. If you were to come upon a horse and a mare, twins, 6 years old, with identical markings and of the same color, and all you could see or examine of either animal was the head, could you tell which was the horse and which was the mare? Now there is a doozer. That's a toughie. If I had to answer that without seeing my card, I'd say that was a horse on me. Elizabeth?
I can only say they are both horses.
Well,
That's the only thing.
no, Lois?
It may be just a coincidence, but I know my husband looks at a mule and tells by its face which one it is, so they probably can identify him. I think a horse mule has a longer face than a mare mule does.
Well, now listen, you farmers. I'm going to teach you something. The answer is yes. You can tell by the teeth. Horses have 4 more teeth than mares. They're called canine or dog teeth, and are located on either side of the front incisors. They don't appear until the horse's 4th year. Now, didn't you know that? Didn't you really, you folks? Well, I'm going to have to buy me a farm, that's all there is to it, yes, sir. Well, you can't get them all. No, sirree. Wouldn't be any fun if you did. Well, that's a myth. Yes, so it was. I thought I gave the answer, and I did, but I don't get the certificate, do I? No. Anyway, that means that whoever sent the question in, that was missed. Where is it? I got it all mixed up. Well, anyway, here we are right here. For heaven's sakes alive. I don't know so much after all, do I? Now, we're going to give a bonus to this party who sent that question, and I can't find the name right now. So I guess, oh yes, here it is. Yeah, old Ryback of Fort Ewing, Michigan. And that means instead of the $50 Spiegel merchandise certificate, he gets a $100 certificate. Say, I had an awful time giving that one away, didn't I? Mrs. W.P. Leonard of Auburn, Washington thinks that it would be of interest to city listeners as consumers to hear you farmers discuss the pros and cons of a bill now before Congress. The subject is, should oleomargarine continue to be taxed? The tax now is 10 cents a pound on the colored product and a 1/4% on the uncolored product. Of course, with most of you contestants raising cotton and cottonseed oil being used in oleomargarine, I don't know how much proing and conning we'll get on this, but anyway, let's find out. Lois?
Well, we would, in my part of the country, would definitely be against the tax because the soybeans and the cotton that we raise are the chief products that go into margarine. Mm-hmm. And naturally, we would like more margarine produced. Mm-hmm. And the lower the price, the greater the chance of being bought.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And how about the rest of you folks? Would you like to get in on this, Earl?
I agree with Lois, definitely. Oh, butter costs now almost, well, twice to 3 times as much as margarine. And since we are raising so much of these crops that go into it, we certainly don't want it taxed. I read quite an interesting article the other day, too. A dairy farmer said he didn't think that butter should be taxed either, that dairy farmers were putting their stakes on butter when they should be putting it on fluid milk. There's a thought that I hadn't thought of before.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And, Elizabeth?
Well, I'm going through the state of Wisconsin on the way home, and when I get home, I intend to live in Minnesota. The land of lakes, you know, is a product of butter, is a product of Minnesota.
Yes.
And, but the main reason is that the dairy farmer must have an enormous outlay in cash for buildings and equipment, and especially cows. It takes longer to raise a cow for milking than what it does to build a battleship. And they have an enormous outlay, and that's why they have to have more money for butter than what they do for oleomargarine. Also, this tax on oleomargarine is probably 1/4 cent per pound on uncolored, where you can tell it from the butter. And in that case, it hurts no one when the price is at that to add 1/4 cent to the price of oleomargarine.
Mm-hmm. Well, this has been a very interesting discussion. Of course, I guess we'll all have to wait and see how things turn out. Now, our next question really has to do about songs. The old songs are on their way back. Remarks Henry Bowman of Dallas, Texas. Since the Petrillo Edict of January 1st, 1948, no new music has been recorded, and so naturally, that means the old songs will be used more and more. Mr. Bowman would like to hear you contestants sing the one song you would call your all-time favorite, one, you know, that you'd like to see brought back. Now, we've all got an old-time favorite song, I'm sure. Earl?
Well, Down by the Old Mill Stream.
Say, that's one of my favorites, too. How about singing it?
Well, now, I don't know how far down the line I'll sing.
Well, I'll tell you, just get us down there by the stream. That's all you have to do.
Down by the old mill stream, where